I just want everyone to know that
Damn
who's
it.
the professional here? All right, I
Join
am
shared
live.
chat.
Let's see. Get on in here.
All right, share chat is on.
Perfect. All right, what were you saying? I wasn't listening, and now I'm back.
No, I was saying, we got to get like a good intro for this show now. Like we have our title, we have a good
Yeah.
feel. We need to like, just give people like they need to know when they come in. Like I just noticed we don't have a title intro. Wow, we're so such
I know we got to get our
amateurs.
branding together.
Yeah,
We're
that's
getting
it's
there
a,
though. You're Aria for New Hampshire now, so we're upping, our branding is leveling up here. We're taking baby steps and everybody's along for the ride with us because we are not leftist lunch. Sinahan says in the TikTok chat, leftist lunch is my pitch, which I think is a funny idea. I like that.
I don't. Yeah, it's it's like this lunch. It's like feeding you your lunch as a left. It makes me think of. I like that. It like flows right off the tongue.
Nice.
All
All right,
right.
what do we got? So you pulled some topics for us.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a bit of a surprise for Marissa. Marissa didn't get to pre-watch these, which is gonna be so we're gonna be popping. Oh, you guys are so sweet. I'll be split star. You guys can call me whatever you want. I'll be split star to you guys. I'm gonna this section is what we're gonna call it like kind of the kooky corner or maybe even blunt takes. We'll see, but like kooky corner sounds better. We're gonna show a bunch of shorts, social medias. Sometimes neither of us have seen it. Sometimes one of us has seen it, and we're just gonna talk about what we see. It's not always political. So let's get started. This is the first time we're ever doing this. All right. So first things first.
It's like we're bringing people into the, like, group chats. That's the vibe. Is like these are the links we're all sending around and talking about during the day. Let's just talk about them together as a little internet family.
Absolutely. So I think this is the first one here. All right. Cool. I don't know if anyone has seen this video.
How can I be okay? You okay?
I can't see your screen yet.
Oh, you can't see it?
Oh, wait, it says
Are you two
it says it's showing
completely
screen sharing, but I
insane?
can't see it.
Was it?
Are you two completely insane?
Can you see it? Can't see it. Hold on one second.
Twitch screen or in OBS?
It's in the Twitch stream. Let me.
Are you two completely insane?
So loud. Can you guys hear the noise? At least the audio.
I can hear you, yeah. But, like, normal.
No,
It's not loud.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
The audio of the video. Yeah, I don't hear the audio of whatever you're
Okay,
sharing.
so it's hilarious sounding to me. So I'm just like, oh, it must sound so ridiculous to everyone else. Okay, let me try to share that again. Jeez, I wasn't having
Yeah.
this problem last time.
All right, we're figuring it out. It's week 1. This is why we're not advertising it yet. We're not promoting yet. This is just friends here. These are just our friends. We got Joe in Twitch. Thanks for jumping over to Twitch with us, Joe. Appreciate you. Hey, I got your screen now,
You
and
got
also,
it.
yeah.
You
Okay, I
got
got your
it.
screen.
All right.
Also, I like panicked because it was a baby monitor, and I was like, "Is that did I accidentally share my baby?" Sorry, just had like a moment of panic. That's not what my kid's room looks like.
It is
Anyway,
not your
go
room.
ahead.
No, it is not. But watch this. I should get on.
We're learning. It's okay. Nobody's mad at you.
Are you two completely insane?
Let's watch this again.
Are you two completely insane?
Okay. This is important. This is important. You know why it's important?
Because it's fucking AI, isn't it?
It's fucking AI. And I wish the messages weren't there. I need to find a way to just show the screen itself and not that. But yes, this
Yeah,
is
can you
the
like pinch
most
and zoom in?
yeah, the most viral video on the internet right now. And I went by it too. I thought it was funny, like, but there are little things that
I
you'll
sent it to
notice.
my husband. I got got by it. I sent it to Frank because it's true. It's funny because it's true, and it's that is exactly what it's like. We used to have 2 cats, and it literally, like, they would run over my fucking face in the middle of the night, and I would scream obscenities, and, like, that is such a r that is it I loved it. I laughed really hard. It was great, and then it got me, and now I'm pissed.
Yeah,
But, yeah, you said there's signs, right?
yeah, there's absolutely signs. I mean, the little things, obviously it's black and white, it's blurry, it looks like a baby camera, so it's like
Mhm.
you can't tell the blurry signs, which are like telltale signs. But for example, like when my cat stopped simultaneously, right there.
I thought that was part of it. I got tr I felt like it tricked me, right? Because I was like, "That's kinda" they panic, right? That you woke up and scared them. Cena
Yeah.
Han's in the chat giving me a hard time for not realizing it was AI immediately, and it's true, right? Like, I should know better, and especially because I do you remember from earlier this summer, the bunnies on the trampoline video? Do
Yes.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
Yeah, so
yes.
that one and then, like, that one got me. I reposted it, and then, like, there was so much interesting reaction to that where people were, like, so shook, and then there was actually this musician who, like, writes a song like, a musical theater song every day, and he wrote this beautiful song about how, like, we're getting emotionally manipulated by these videos that are AI, and that, like, we if we can't know anything is real, it's like we're in this end of truth era, and so, yes, it's just a funny video, but it also is, like, we are now living in this time where we just it's gonna get harder and harder to tell. Like you point out, there are little tells, but, like, they're little, right? Like, there are things that could be easily kind of overlooked, and even people, I think, who have good media literacy with this stuff, like, I have decent media literacy with this stuff, and I got tricked by that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not the only one. Like you said, you mentioned a couple of them that are rolling around the internet. There's also another one they're mentioning in chat, which is a very, very popular one, which is the minister that is like there's a church minister that's shitting on Donald Trump. And he's saying it like very clearly. It's like very, very emotional and like very like it's like a sermon. And there are a
Yeah, I
lot of those
reposted
going
that one
around.
too.
I saw another one of like I was like just an all black church, and it was just a photo of someone spraying one of those smelly smells into the church, and then all a bunch of like churchgoers reacting to it. And I'm just like, I know this is AI, but this is the funniest video I've ever seen. And the pastor's just like losing his mind. It's like, just like
Yeah,
dropping all the Christian slurs that you can, like Lord have mercy, type of thing.
the Christian slurs. Wait, I need to do a deep dive on that later because that's a funny idea. There are absolutely some things that that is the Christian versions of swearing. Somebody is making the point, Lil Nuggy is making the point in TikTok that this is the worst AI is ever going to be, and that's so true. And that's why I say, like, right now we can still kind of identify it, and a lot of us will, figure it out, but that age is ending quickly, right?
Hmm.
It's
Absolutely.
it w I really do feel like we all have to kind of emotionally adjust to being in this new era where, um this is why I keep saying when I start talking about AI, I quickly spiral because I'm like, it is going to impact the way we consume everything, any form of media. It's gonna completely change how we interact with the internet because you cannot tell if things are real or fake.
Yes, for sure. And you're it's a great thing, and it's something we're going to talk about deeper in like later shows, because there is a place here where, again, like especially conservatives, pro-capitalists always say that like regulations are good. Like government should never put regulation on products, right? And that products kind of self-regulate. But I think this is a case. I mean, like a company like YouTube is going to have to seriously consider self-regulating here in terms, and some of the ideas I've heard of like tagging videos that are AI, requiring those tags to go out and having their own proprietary AI that is looking for signs of AI so it can tag those things. Because what's going to happen ultimately is if our government is not going to protect us from this, right? They're actually probably
No.
going to use this as a tool
Yeah.
against us. along with the oligarchs, the tech, the tech fascists that are currently leading the country, our own oligarchs. But YouTube is going to have an accountability issue. YouTube is going to have a trust issue. We all trust YouTube as the main video website, right? Like we go there, we watch our favorite people there, there are clips there. But if we can't trust what we're seeing as real, then it's going to turn people off. Some people do not ever want to watch AI. Some people just want to watch real videos. And I think inevitably for YouTube, without even government touching it, YouTube is going to have to think about sooner rather than later implementing something, self-implementing to say, you know what, some of you are going to hate this, but it's okay. This is ultimately going to be the best for everyone.
I think we're so far away from that though.
Hmm.
And like I can talk about this for hours because I think we absolutely need to be seeing government regulations, but it's not going to be happening. My hope is coming from kind of the tech background that I do, and this one's maybe for Sinahan in the chat, but like I think about GDPR and how that was really an initiative around data privacy that was led by the EU, and that had a huge impact on companies in the US that then had to be compliant. And that's kind of my hope, is that we'll be in a situation where somebody else in the world will decide to be the grown up and implement some regulations that have broader impacts, because I think YouTube, yes, ultimately they'll get there, but I think things are going to get way worse before they get better. Like I think we're really going to see, especially with Sora 2 and the popularity of that taking off, and the president using this kind of technology from his social media, I think we're just going to see more and more people using it, and it's we're going to be in a really really slop heavy AI slop heavy era. But my optimistic take on that is that we are also, I think, in like a renaissance period for art because of that, right? Like real art and like real music and real creativity is going to be at a premium. And some people in the chat were talking about this. I also have this theory that it's going to impact social media because people aren't going to want to consume content from folks that they're not already familiar with. So if I see a video from a rando, it's happening where I scroll past if I don't know who the person is, if I've never seen them before, because I don't know that it's not AI. AI is so good now that I don't want to see something that has been influenced or created by a foreign government attempting to manipulate us or something like that. Like I really am just trying to kind of keep it locked down. And so um I think there will be good things that come out of it too. I think it will force us to have like better connections with people on the internet and things like that. But I do think it's going to get worse, a lot worse before it gets better, because I just don't think that people in the industry have that same level of regard for the what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, free market, right? Profit rules everything there. I mean, you're going to need
Mhm.
guardrails at some point to protect us, but who's protecting us right now? All right, there's enough time for AI. I got a really important
You got
question
to get me back on track.
here for everyone, for the ladies, all right? Because this is a question for the ladies. I want to know something real quick. Does size matter? The size of the ring, okay? You dirty birds. Can you guys see the ring? Can you guys see the size of that rock? Hold on.
Hold
Let me
on.
see. It is.
I can't really hear you over the video. I don't know what everyone else can hear, but I can't hear what
What?
you were saying over the video.
The video is playing sound right now?
Yeah, the video is playing music
Lord. All right. We don't need
and
sound.
it's really loud.
We don't need sound for that. Let me I'm going to turn this off then. You guys can hear this. Tab. Video sound not coming on your stream, Aria. So wait, is it my sound or is my
It's the video. It's the video. Oh my
Okay.
god. It's, like, so loud
It's
too.
really
The
loud.
video.
I
Pause the
can't
video.
even I
Pause
can't
the
even
video. Oh my god, thank you.
I'm so sorry. I can't even turn it down. Why is it not giving me an option to turn? Weird. Okay,
Hit
here.
hit pause on it.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me I'm gonna
Video's not co I'm just looking at the comments. Yeah, I can just hear the video playing really loud. This is gonna haunt me all day. I
yeah.
love whoever
Okay,
Bremer
you guys see
is.
the ring,
Bremer.
right? I don't need to play the video.
Yes, the video. Yes, yes. The music is not important. The giant ring. Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you on the point.
It's so weird. So there's someone in the chat is saying they can't hear the video and they can hear me when it's playing, but you're saying you can just hear the video when it's playing. It doesn't matter. But look at the
I
ring,
can yeah,
guys.
you're really faint in the background. Okay, yeah, that's massive. Right, that's giant.
And I want to
So
know.
what's the you want All right. There any wait, is there any other context to this or am I just reacting to this
You're just
and
reacting
the
to
idea in
this,
general?
the size of the ring. Now, listen, that's a fucking rock. And I,
Mhm.
props to her. But like, is that like, figure you're like putting a target on your back at some point with something that size walking around, right? Is there another ring involved here? Is that like the fake one that they put ahead? Like they put the fake Mona Lisa in there, and the real Mona Lisa ain't
That
there.
I do think that I do think there is a trend over recent years where genetically, I don't know the right term for it, but like genetically created diamonds that are not blood diamonds have been getting very popular. And so I know a lot of people are buying those because they're not affordable. Sinahan saying that she does travel with a fake ring, which is a fun idea. Moissanite, that's the word I was looking for, is a lot of people. So all that to say, you'll notice I think in recent years rings have gotten bigger. I don't know. I'm not the best person to ask, right? Because like I got engaged when I was 26 years old. So we had 20 or no, I was 24 years old. So we had 24-year-old money. We did not have adult money. So I'm of the opinion that size does not matter, but I certainly cannot speak for all. And I think sometimes it's fun to have a little costumey, a big old costumey thing to put on your hand. But don't
So
worry, just start saving now, Aria, and then by the time, the right lady walks into your life, you'll be able to, with all of your Twitch stream money, you will be able to take good care.
this sounds like, oh my lord, I'm gonna need a fourth job, I think. That's I mean, it's one of those things where I wonder, like, at a certain point, is it just um no, like, I would almost feel, but I guess it's a different way to look at it. I would almost feel like overwhelmed walking around with that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, absolutely, like, I think there is an element of that, but,
But
but
fuck it.
it's there's so much like well, yeah, because it's like you outweigh the social pressure feels heavier, right? You're like, "Ooh, I want to be like uh look to be quite fancy." I don't know. I think it's different in different circles. I've sort of made my circle not pay attention to things like that, but a lot of folks do.
Well, that answered my question. That's all I need to know about that. Let's move on to the next one then. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that answer. All right, let's look at
You'll
this.
accept that answer. Yeah, yeah. I think there's nuance. There's always nuance.
But there is another important question for the ladies that I have here, and
Oh, good.
I
Well,
want
we've
to.
got a lot of them in the comments today.
Perfect. Can you guys see
Oh
this?
my perfect.
And I want to know. I want to know how accurate this is.
Okay.
Oh
I'm
no.
crying because we did not prep at all, and this is so funny because, like, Aria, you have no idea what kind of can of worms you just opened. So do you have any did you, like, read the okay, hit pause on that. This
Okay.
sounds gonna drive me nuts. What's did you read the comments on that or get any other context, or are you just watching this like, "What the fuck am I watching?"
Yeah, I didn't I didn't look at any of the comments or anything. I just literally I went into the trending section and this was one of the trending videos. I'm like, all right, I got a lot of questions here.
I mean, this is one of those things well, so, okay, somebody's gonna have to correct me in the comments because I'm not gonna probably speak to this correctly from a medical point of view, but as somebody who has, given birth, I will speak to this. This is one of those horrific parts about giving birth that they don't tell you, in addition to the fact that, like, most people throw up for, like, a lot of the time that you're giving birth, so that's a fun fact that people just don't know until they're in the room. But this is one where after you give birth, they just like beat the shit out of your stomach and they're checking for something. And I can't remember what exactly they're checking for. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, It might be that this is sorry, this is now, like, trigger warning. This is just getting into, like, I had a hemorrhage right after, so I had big hemorrhage, and so that was they were pushing it, and that was how they realized. But yeah, it's these little things that you don't know you get in there, and you're like, "What is happening?" The men are not prepped, the women are not prepped. Nobody has any it's to help stop bleeding. Yes. Yeah, it gets really, like, gnarly in there, and I always say this, like, they need to have specific classes for partners that are in that room because there's so much stuff that happens that is, like, very scary, and you're like, "Is this supposed to be scary?" And you just can't tell. You're like, "I don't know, everyone's acting like this is normal," but then they're just, beating the shit out of your abdomen. So,
Yeah,
it's, it's a lot.
I mean, listen, I know
Confronting to
about
see that. Oh my god.
the books and stuff. I get like studying ahead of time, but I do feel like there's there is some layers here that we are not being let in on. Like I think seeing my if I was in there with my pregnant wife and she just gave birth, and all of a sudden there's a nurse punching her in the stomach. Like in this video, I'd be like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on here?" like, but
And that's what happens,
I'm
yeah.
sure. I'm sure. And I'll tell you just a really funny aside. My family is like full of kind of these quirky, funny stories. But my dad, so when I was born, I was 13 pounds when I was born. Um, and
Oh
when
my god, are you kidding me?
not kidding, I
You're a
actually
big boy.
at the time I was the biggest baby
Holy
ever
shit.
born in Lowell General Hospital in '85. That's like
So when
something.
you run for office,
Yeah,
that's gonna
yeah.
be your campaign posters. The biggest baby ever born.
That's right on my resume. But my mom, this is her story, not mine, pushed a lot. She pushed, 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 could not get me to come out. But she tried. And then once the C-section came and I came out, I had a cone head, legitimate cone head.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know that was a thing either. My dad had no idea that was a thing. And my dad quickly had to be rushed into the next room and just like laid into a bed and hydrated at the time, because he
Oh
had never,
my god.
and like multiple doctors in there telling him, listen, his head's going to be normal. It's just she pushed and soft, and like he's going to have his brain. Don't worry. Tricks on you, dad. I only got half of it. They didn't tell you the real
Oh
truth.
my god. That's so many dads have to be, like, escorted out of the room. It's so funny that you mentioned that about your dad. That's a very common thing where, like, when I was again, yeah, I'm not gonna trauma dump on the chat. Bridget's in the chat saying, "Well, her and I will have a side trauma dump if anyone wants to join. Maybe we'll just do a little Twitch live stream to talk about birth trauma." But, it was the same where they had to keep checking in with Frank and being like, "You're not gonna pass out, right?" And he's like, "No, I'm good." But, like, I know a lot of dads who've been like, I did almost pass out, and because it's real. They don't prepare you, but and they certainly don't prepare you for a 13-pound cone-headed baby boy,
my,
the
my
biggest
mom
boy ever born in Lowell.
my mom, like, seriously, at a certain point in the delivery, like was screaming at my dad, like blaming him for putting me inside of her. Like seriously, like this is like actual quotes like from my Persian
Oh my
parents. Like these are
god.
not like culturally American people at the time, and like my mom's screaming at my dad. My mom is screaming at the doctors asking for like a divorce lawyer to come to the hospital like immediately,
Oh
like
my
just out of her
god.
mind. And then like she said, my
That's
sister,
iconic, honestly.
yeah, my sister slid right out, according to her. Whatever. We're going. Let's move on
Oh
to.
my god.
We'll move
Somebody
on.
says one last thing from the comments. Somebody says, "You better get a goodie bag or steak dinner or something after that." Yeah, my hospital did used to offer, steak dinners, as the hospital food after you deliver your baby. So, about 48 hours once I came to, I had my nice little, like, candle lit, basically, like, nicely plated, hospital food steak dinner. So, hopefully, yeah, I'll give birth at hospitals where they give you good food, and if not, you have that man go out and get your dad better got your mom a big old plate of sushi or whatever the fuck she wanted to eat after pushing out a 13-pound baby.
Yeah, I mean that's so she still holds that over my dad's head and
That is
reminds
so
him
funny.
all
I
the
would forever.
time.
Absolutely.
All right, are you guys ready for the next one here? This is one of my personal favorite videos that I've seen. See, let's this one we need to play the sound. Can you guys hear the sound on this? Too loud?
I I can hear the video. It is quite loud. Yeah.
All of us angry out here, so don't think it's y'all alone. What's wrong with you? Oh, stupid ass. That's why you gotta hide your face. You wanna go to jail? You told me my mother can tell you anything. You wanna go to jail? With you wanna hit me?
Have you seen that video?
Yeah, I saw that one yesterday floating around. It's
But
heavy, man.
for
Go
sure,
ahead.
for sure,
Yeah.
it's very heavy. But when you look at that, there is something so fucking inspiring about that lady.
Mhm.
Like that is everyone's mom in that moment. Like that is
Mhm.
like a lioness in that moment. That is like I feel like that is how a mom that's like a mom having their kid ripped away from them, or their kid is like under threat. Like that is how I imagine like my mother to act, or like how anyone's mom to act. And I just feel like in that moment, all those men in there, all those masked men in there, one of them is in her face at
Yeah.
a point in the video, and it's just
Aria, can
like,
you recap for the folks in the TikTok chat, can you just quickly recap what the video was that you just showed?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Sorry, guys. I keep forgetting. I'm streaming over here too. Sorry about that, guys. So there's a video viral on TikTok right now, and it's an African American woman, and she has like an accent, almost like it's like a Haitian accent, and she's in this room in one of those like immigration court rooms. You know how the ICE agents are all waiting in the hallways and in like the just waiting for people to come
Just
into those
stalking.
courtrooms. Yeah, exactly. It's like people doing it the right way, right? Like these are the criminals, right? That they were talking about. Like people literally going to their court cases, immigration cases. And there's this woman in the hallway screaming at these ICE agents. There's like 20 ICE agents in this room, and she is screaming at them. Like just and it's one of the more viral videos right now going around TikTok. So you could probably find it if you wanted to, but she is like just this one woman by herself, and there's like 20 ICE agents there, mask covered, and one of them's in her face. One of them is literally in her face, being like, "Try it." And she's like, "I'll punch you in the face." And he's like, "Try it." Like tough guy, with like 20 guys behind him. And this woman is like, I feel the maternal instinct coming out of her, the motherly instinct. I feel that coming out of a lot of women. I feel it like in the streets more so than men. I seriously, like I am noticed, and again, that is a major difference when you talk about empathy and this kind of unspoken maternal instinct. That's why I think a woman is so needed as president right now. As an example, like just I'm not that I would just vote for a woman, but I'm not one of those people who doesn't believe a woman is ready to be president. If anything, we
Mhm.
could really use a fucking woman right now. Someone that has a little bit of empathy, someone that can feel can feel for people that are not directly connected to her, that are not part of her bloodline. There is something to be said there, and I don't think men as a gender experience that together. Like some of us might, some of us might be more enlightened, and I
Mhm.
think it's a part of upbringing, but I do think the patriarchy and the whole masculine nature of things it doesn't allow us to be that all the time, and I just feel
I
like
was
you guys are
yeah.
much more like that.
I was thinking about this in the context of the No Kings protests that we saw this weekend, and even thinking about all the footage that I saw and the people that I talked to on the ground. It was there was definitely more of a gender divide on one side than the other, right? Like we're just not seeing uh, average men coming out in the same way as forcefully. Um, And it's interesting. Yeah, I wonder why that is, and I wonder why there isn't the same level of urgency, and it does feel like there is an empathy component that's not there, and I don't know how we deal with that. But I will also say I'll challenge you only from the degree of my personal opinion and my personal perspective, which I've said this before. I noticed, I don't know if Pat Lynch is still here. I just saw him join on TikTok. Like he made me think of it. Since I got involved in this sort of space in New Hampshire, and I've met a lot of people through doing what we're doing and doing like hosting my podcast and doing all this kind of work and showing up at events and things like that. I've met a lot of men that have made me feel more hope as somebody who we were talking earlier about misandry and I think I have felt more optimistic in that sense because I have seen so many men in leftist circles that are willing to like stick their neck out. And so like I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago. You and I did a live with David and Justin, who are two people who are active on New Hampshire Talk. And I remember having a moment where I sat on this call with the three of you guys and I was like, normally I would not have volunteered myself to be in a room where I listened to 3 men talking at me, but I'm actually happy to be here, and I think these are all pretty good ones, and I just remember looking around and being like, "Yeah, I feel like these guys all have pretty good intentions and, like, are actually, like, doing their best." And so, yes, yes, Pat, I think you're like, a delightful person, and, like, I think there's a lot of you guys that have given me a little bit of hope for, like, I don't know. I don't think it has to be that way. I think that's how men used to be, but I think now we're seeing the next evolution of what masculinity and manhood becomes, right? So, I know that's not really the point of this video and it got us off topic, but I think that we're seeing that evolve, and I think that it's important for like men to be stepping up and showing a new way to
Yeah,
be.
yeah. I mean, we're definitely going to talk about this because this is like a heavy topic that we in the future we've talked, offline about, internalized misandry. Like, am I dealing with it, for example? Because the state of other men, it's hard not to see it
Mhm.
and not be affected by it and not feel like again that you are part of that demographic. I mean, I am part of that demographic, regardless of how I feel about it. Um, and I do think
Bridges.
I do think it's a bit related to this too. I mean, because again, you are
Mhm.
seeing like what is masculinity? Like, is it what these guys are doing? I think you would say that is the complete fucking opposite of masculinity, right? There was a
Mhm.
certain point where masculinity meant protection, like defense, like standing up for people that could not stand up for themselves. It was not being the attacker, and that's been hijacked. And it's really important. I know. Sorry I cut you off, Mister. You were going to say something, but it's
No,
really
no, go for it.
it's really important for men who are leftist or are good men. And that's such a weird moniker, right? The good men, wherever they are, it's important they're loud. It's important they make themselves visible. Don't shy away. Yes, a lot of well-adjusted men are not on the internet. That's okay. They're living their lives. Some of us are on the internet a lot. And I try as much as I can. And, because I was a boy at one point, and I wish there were more men like me who weren't shy about empathy. It's just an empathy thing. It's like weakness to them that they would care about anyone that's not connected to them. And I think empathy is, again, without being super cliche, is a huge strength. We need to teach that to men again.
Mhm.
And again, when men, I'm not a big jacked leftist, but there are a lot of big jacked leftists out there that are posting and they're showing the way. They are showing that, hey, there is this way too. We do the same things, but we are actually humanitarians and care about human rights, and women actually like hanging out with us. Like, see, like we're at the gym with, because that's what
Mhm.
it is. They want to see these boys, they want to see, like, you have to put a carrot in front of a stick when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that's just how it is until they grow up and they understand that, like, they're not going for, I mean, the woman that they're trying to attract isn't a game. It's not a game to attract
Mhm.
them. You are trying to find a partner, which is much different than, being a pickup artist, which is what Red Pill was called when I was 18, 19 years old. There was a book they released called The Game, which was like a super famous book. It was all
I
about,
remember the show. There was a reality
yeah, it
show.
was
It
the
was a
pickup
whole
artist.
thing.
It was the same guy.
Mhm.
He had a whole Bible about how to approach women. He quantified it all, like, into, like, mathematics and shit and angles, and it's so stupid. In the end, it's go to the gym, like, be nice, like, go do
Mhm.
community service. Look people in the eye when they're speaking to you. These are, like, little things. This is not magic, you know what I'm saying? So, sorry, went on a rant there, but I know
Yeah.
this red pill thing has
That's
morphed
the
throughout
shit
generations.
we were all raised on, or not we were all, people in our generation were raised on that stuff. Like, I remember watching that show when I was, like, 14 years old, and, like, it was, like, sort of satire, like, they positioned it as satire, but it wasn't. It was, like, it became real, and now it's real, and, um but yeah, I think it's, like, it's all just coming to the surface now, like, the worst of that we're at the, like, natural end point of, like, where that type of masculinity was headed. We're seeing it come to fruition here. We were talking about this yesterday with these ICE agents that, like, can't even complete a physical fitness test, right? Like, a reduced like, it's these guys
15
who really
push-ups.
think that they're, like, right, like, it's these guys think they think they're the biggest baby boys born in the hospital, but they're not, okay? They and so I think this is a good example. We see in these videos of confrontations with ICE where they just crumble, and I've seen videos, like, I referenced one yesterday of a mom who was talking to somebody in the National Guard and was like, "You didn't sign up for it. You signed up to protect people, didn't you? And, like, look what you're doing now." It's like, I think there still is something inherent that can be inherent in masculinity, of that protectiveness you're talking about, that doesn't have to be. This is so funny because we had a whole conversation about this earlier, and we're like, "We're not gonna talk about this on air," but here we are.
I know.
Can't
It
help
morphs into
ourselves.
that
Can't
anyway.
help ourselves. But you're with you're the that we're on the same page. The only thing I was gonna chime in earlier was, when I said go ahead, was just Bridget's in the comments talking about Heath Howard too, who's another really good one. I think he's a good egg. I met Heath back, like, he was one of the first people who reached out to me when I started doing TikTok and just was like, "Hey, let's meet up and talk. Like, I just wanna," and just was really nice, and I just think he's a good egg. So, we've got there's, like, some really great people around here that are giving me a lot of hope.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have to build off that, like, that's
Mhm.
yeah, I know we have a little people are struggling right now, people are stressed out, people are going through a lot of stuff, and I think it's easy for us to, like, fight inwards and not look towards progress and kind of get skipped up over little things. And I know that's something we're going to touch on a little bit too, but I got one more little clip before we get into some other stuff, and I think this one is very interesting. Let's sound is low, and I'm sure everyone has heard this story too. Very interesting. I will recap with TikTok what we're watching in a minute. All right. Well, first of all, it really wasn't that difficult. It took like 2 men. I was there, and I called my boy. I told him, listen, just show up, bring your little cutter.
Scooter.
It's so easy that I don't even know what the tool is called. And I told him to go up underneath the. No, isn't this crazy? Isn't this story crazy? Okay, so TikTok. Just to recap, we are watching the French Louvre, like, heist. 7 minutes to take those items in the Louvre. Three of the most rare, like, important items in the Louvre Museum, which is probably to your what you would think as being one of the most secure areas, I would think, in France. But no, 7 minutes in and out, took most of the stuff they needed, dropped the crown on their way out. 18 million, first of all, $18 million in
Oh my
1988 they
god.
spent on that. Or what is that now? God knows, with inflation, whatever. But they dropped it. They ran away, and they dropped it. That is a whole other story. I want them to be found just to talk to them. Who dropped that? Were your pockets full? Ah, oh my god, that makes me crazy. The whole thing makes me crazy. But what do you think? What do you think about this when you see
I
this?
love it. I haven't dug into it's funny, I've been, like, hearing about this, just, like, that it's happening, but I haven't, like, actually sat down and watched any videos about it. Oh, we got Pat Lynch over on Twitch, nice.
Nice. Bringing them
Um,
over.
I'm like, "We're dragging him over." So, yeah, I'm delighted by it, obviously. I don't know. I think it's just like, uh, uh, I'm a lover of a good heist, right? Like I lived in Boston for a long time. I was a big fan of the Isabella Stewart Gardner heist. Like I love a good heist,
Or The
especially when,
Town.
I
That
mean,
was like so good too.
like aren't all of this stuff, right? The subtext of all of this, if I'm not mistaken, is that like all of this shit has been stolen from countries that have been invaded. And so like none of this stuff rightfully belongs to anybody. And so I don't know. Is that cancelable? I don't know what I don't know what the popular opinion is on this. So I don't actually know if my opinion is the common one, but I'm just kind of like that's great. Excellent. Who did it? This is fun.
Just I
Everything's
have
bad right now.
so many fucking questions, like okay, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not even worried about the morality of it. Fucking take it. I don't care. If I care about a bunch of like
Yeah.
stolen crowns, you're right. Like I don't care. Like I hope that belongs. I hope that ends up in the hands of someone who can use it correctly, or a small child who has no idea what it is and is like just playing with it in her room or something. But like, first of all, I had no idea that they kept the real shit in there. Like I thought everything was a model. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. I come from
Really?
the school of like the what was that movie? Treasure the Nicolas Cage movie when he steals the Declaration of Independence. I thought
Mm.
I always thought there was a model of it out. Because how the fuck are we supposed to tell the difference? Like, what? I'm supposed to see an 18th century crown and know if it's real or not? God damn it. You could show me a picture of something and I would believe you that it was real. Like, so it makes no difference. It's like the people who went, God, this is, forget like real humanitarian news. This is the shit that keeps me up at night. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like, I could fucking go crazy about this. Like, the other thing I want to know is, again, 7 minutes. That's it. In and out.
That's
So quick.
amazing. It's like, but I wanna know, like, did they have a plan? It seems like I mean, the fact that they're dropping crowns and shit is like, "Come on, guys, tighten it up." But if they could do it in 7 minutes, that's pretty good. Sina Han's in the comments saying Mona Lisa is not the real one, I think, which is interesting. I was also gonna bring up the Mona Lisa and say, like, when you see that one, it's really like, "Oh, this is, like, small and unimpressive," and they could really replace it with a printout, and I probably wouldn't notice. And then Joe says, "I feel like if they got away with it, they get to keep it." And I think that that is,
I think it's
that
fair.
sounds fair to me. I subscribe to those rules. I will co-sign.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I had like these thoughts of like, I just think of every jailbreak movie ever made, which is like there's got to be lasers in the floors and like there's temperature checks, like
Yes.
like as soon as like a drop of sweat hits the ground, like the entire like museum blows up or something, like something crazy. I just to me it was so surreal the way it almost still seems like surreal how it went down. And the thing is, they're never gonna find. They might find the people who did it, but they will never find those items again. Those items are gone forever. They're gonna end up in some
Yeah.
probably Russian oligarch's house somewhere. So, but yeah,
Okay.
it
Well, that's
keeps
kind
the
of a bummer note to end on.
yeah. Sorry, I mean,
Bring it back up.
but he's gonna die and donate it to his son, who is gonna be a physicist, and he's gonna find a way to, I don't know, just change the world. I don't fucking know. Jesus, so you put me on the spot. I can't make up fairy tales I can make up
Just
nightmares on the spot.
make it happy. Make it good. I need good news.
That's fair.
No,
Um,
I'm just kidding.
no, I think so. I think this is a good chance for us to go on to our next video here, which is probably a little bit of a deeper topic. It's something that we have been talking about on the side, and I think something that a lot of people have been talking about for various reasons. And just pop up. Can you guys see this? Hear it?
Mhm.
In his Tuesday interview with Pod Save America, Plattner says he got the tattoo while with the Marines in Croatia after a night of drinking. He said he just picked, quote, a terrifying looking skull and crossbones off the wall at the tattoo parlor.
At no point in this entire experience of my life did anybody ever once say, hey, you're a Nazi. And I can honestly say that if I was trying to hide it, I've not been doing a very good job for the past 18 years.
In a statement to the Associated Press, Plattner said, quote, it was not until I started hearing from reporters and DC insiders that I realized this tattoo resembled a Nazi symbol. I absolutely would not have gone through life having this on my chest if I knew that, and to insinuate that I did is disgusting. I'm already planning to get it removed. The Democratic candidate from Maine says he's passed military background checks since then with no one flagging it. He's also apologized for online comments made around 2021 too, like calling himself a communist and castigating police and rural white Americans, among other things, and says those don't reflect who he is now. Despite the backlash, independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, one of Plattner's more prominent supporters, is still backing him, calling him, quote, an excellent candidate.
So you're standing by your endorsement?
Absolutely.
U.S. Senate candidate Graham Plattner's tattoo.
All right. So here we enter some heavier conversation, which is not. I don't think it's too heavy for me, to be honest. I think this is something. And okay, just to talk to TikTok again, to repeat to TikTok. I know you guys. I behoove all of you guys to come over to Twitch at some point, because we can see the actual videos here. TikTok is stupid. They won't let us kind of react to those. But we just watched the video on Graham Plattner and his two current controversies, which is the Nazi tattoo that he talked to Pod Save America about, and his old internet posts on Reddit, which is an internet forum. For those people that don't know, it's kind of known as these days kind of like an undercurrent of right wing, like manosphere areas. It's a gamer area. It's not really a mainstream area, but it's not 4chan either. It's for those of you that know internet jargon, it's a step above 4chan. But this is the type of place someone would be posting these types of things. So what do you think about this, Maria? What do you think about these new developments about the new savior from Maine?
So it's funny. I'm from Maine originally. I lived in Maine for 18 years, and so I've been talking about this. And I live currently like 2 miles from Maine. My family lives in Maine. Like I'm very connected to Maine, so I've always watched Maine politics carefully. I used to be a Republican, and so I voted for Susan Collins several times. I was devastated to watch what has happened to her over the last Susan Collins, someone I knew of when I was a child, right? Like I knew who she was, and she was always so well respected as uh somebody that could speak to everybody, and like she really did have this reputation in the state of Maine as being somebody who cared about the people and who could work with both sides and was really fighting for the people of Maine. And so it has been kind of like emotional. Like definitely have a parasocial relationship with Susan Collins, where like seeing over the years her just fail and fail and fail and fail and fail to like rise to the moment, right? So that's why I'm paying such close attention to this. Also, it's just obviously interesting from a political perspective what's happening there. But because of all that, I have like made a couple of videos that have gotten a lot of traction about Graham Plattner. And so that means the last 24 hours, my comment section has been an absolute like cesspool of people that are very mad at me for comments for posting nice things about Graham Plattner like a week ago. But all that to say, I kind of wanted to wait before commenting on any of this stuff or adding any more chaos to the machine until things like kind of started, like giving him kind of a chance to respond and see how things were going to play out. Because I felt with the initial sort of raft of Reddit stuff that came out, some of it I was like, yeah, I agree. Okay, cool. Like,
Yeah,
whatever. Who gives a fuck? Like, yeah, ACAP. I don't
dream
care.
boat.
Like, yeah, that's fine. Right. Like, yeah, tell me more, daddy. Let's go. So there was stuff that I wasn't bothered by. There's stuff that I was bothered by. There was stuff when somebody was in my comments specifically talking about the comments that he made where he was sort of victim blaming people for SA. And that stuff sucks to see, right? Like, that's not good stuff to you don't wanna read that. I don't wanna read that. I'm a victim of SA. I don't wanna read that. It's disappointing. But what I will say is I'm trying to remember what year the Reddit those comments were from. I feel like it was, like, 2017, 2018, if I'm remembering
2018.
correctly.
Yep, 2018.
Thank you. Thank you. And around that time, I don't know. Here's I'll share what it was like to be a woman at the time. Maybe folks in the comments can corroborate. But during that kind of Me Too era, I was having a lot of conversations with people in my regular life about these things as they were coming up, and that was a very common perspective. I know a lot of men who had that perspective that didn't quite understand why that was victim blaming or didn't think that line of thinking was offensive at all. Men on the left, Democratic men, men who are good guys, like I think that was a common way of thinking because it was not something that a lot of men had thought about in detail before. So there is sort of a logical thing that a logic line of logic I can follow of like, well, don't do the thing that puts so I think that now that's fast forward 7 years and we're in a much different world where I think as we were talking about men and masculinity earlier, I think a lot of men have kind of chosen to either walk on a path of like trying to become more empathetic and understanding about these things and a lot of men have veered off and decided to just become even fucking worse about this stuff. And so this is a very very long answer. I apologize, but I just wanted to like with all of that stuff I think that we have to give people opportunities to grow. I think then the tattoo stuff came out and I just shut the fuck up for a few days because I was like, this is obviously like, if there is any evidence that this person has any of this kind of affiliation, like that is absolutely disqualifying. That's a totally different class than any of the Reddit comments for me. It was a completely different thing. I think now that we've seen how he's handled it, I, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is it's like I think I don't see why I don't have any reason not to believe him. I haven't seen it, and if we see it, then I'm open to changing my point of view. I'm open to being wrong in the future, but I think you and I were sidebarring on it a little bit as well, and it's like you can't I think if he actually held those views, I would be shocked because there is so much digital evidence to the contrary. We have such a detailed now track record from the time when he was in high school through these posts that came out from the military through like we know how his politics are and they are very and they're and how he views the world and how he views different types of bigotry and stuff like that because he told us in less than elegant terms, right? And those things to my understanding, we're not aligned with any kind of ideology that would be, um, yeah, problematic in that way. So that's my like incredibly long answer, and I'll caveat all that by saying if something happens in the future and something comes out, and um, I will be the first person to say that I'm wrong. So, but that's just kind of where I'm at with it today, knowing what we know today.
And
What about you? Where are you at with it?
listen, I think anyone before even going into it, I think what you're saying is the reason. I think you are the reason. That's the reasonable take here. Like the abnormal takes. I think are this guy's a fucking Nazi, or like this guy has never done anything ever wrong in his life. Like there are two
Mhm.
extremes here, and those extremes don't make any sense. What you're saying to me
Mhm.
makes a lot of sense, is very reasonable. And again, if we are going to, if uh, this situation happens inside of a vacuum and outside the vacuum, right? Let's look at this
Mhm.
strategically as a party that is trying to make fundamental change. Like we are on the left side of the party. We are sick of the status quo. We are sick of the party being owned. This guy is as normal as you get when it comes to American society. This is that his he's not the only person to have gotten drunk and gotten a shitty racist tattoo. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy was in Blackwater. We got over that to get to this point. You know, what's worse? I'm pretty sure Blackwater, because if anyone knows who Blackwater is, they are the mercenary group that were in Afghanistan and Iraq. They are accused of some of the worst atrocities that you can ever imagine. No one is accusing him of being part of those atrocities, but he was part of that mercenary group. or in the Marines. Yeah, he was part of that group, and there is a reckoning that he went through. You can tell by his posts. He said, "The older I got, the more communist I became." Does that sound insane to anyone? Really? Like when you, as you get older, like you, like it's we're all feeling it. We're all feeling being squeezed by the system, being squeezed by capitalism. It naturally pushes us towards the flank of leftism, right? Because none of us are on the team. None of us are going to be millionaires or billionaires. The system is not designed for that. So we start mutual aiding, we start organizing, we start grouping together, we start socializing. Socialism, oh my god, so scary, you know? And it we crack the propaganda within our own experience. I think that is super important. And again, I can talk about Graham Plattner forever because it's all for me as someone, and allocutions in the chat. He's a very good friend of mine. Me and him, we talk about politics a lot, especially international politics and different things that are going on around the country. He lives in a very red state. So he lives in Missouri. He tells me all the time about the shit that's going on down there. And I think it's important for us to realize that if we are looking for fundamental change in the system, we are going to have to look for fundamentally different people. What does that mean? Does that mean I want to vote for a Nazi? No, that does not mean that. What that means is people make mistakes, people grow, people adapt. If you think this man is a Nazi, Nazis are not ashamed of being Nazis. Fascists are not ashamed of being fascist. They don't cover up their tattoos, they show them as much as they can. And again, there are common sense things here that are people are suffering cognitive dissonance. And there's two different stories for me, two different main narratives I notice right away. The first one is it's orchestrated, always seems orchestrated. Janet Mills gets into the race, all of a sudden he's got Nazi tattoos. Janet Mills gets into the race, all of a sudden there's Reddit posts being unearthed from 11 years ago. You know, yet Janet Mills is refusing to sign a letter that is, I think there's a letter going around the governors or something where they're maybe if you know about it, Marissa, please, but she's not signing it, right?
It's
Which is condemning ICE. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's something that is specifically regarding taking action around ICE that is on the governor's desk right now. I just saw a video about this where somebody was one of her constituents was like chasing her down trying to get an answer, and they just her team was running away from them because they don't want to have to be harsher on ICE than they have to be. So yeah, I completely agree with you that the timing on this all is like more than suspect, right? Like it seems it's like we need to all use our media literacy on this one and really like whatever you feel on the situation, I think we all do have to acknowledge from a like a rational level that like the timing on this is something that is knowing what we know about how the Democratic Party operates, knowing what we know about how the money and power that influences this party, how all of that works, we are crazy if we just believe that this just so happens to like surface because people want it all feels very very obvious to me. And a couple people were asking for clarification, I think on the TikTok chat. I just want to clarify that like as far as we know, what has happened with the tattoo is that he has said that he got it when he was drunk in the military, picked it off the wall, did not know what it means. Somebody commented it also that like he should have gotten it fixed sooner, right? Like I think we could probably agree on that too, right? Like I think if I had a tattoo on my body that somebody told me reminisced a hate symbol, I would be like, let's get that shit cleaned up right away, right? And so I do think it's not great that he did not move with urgency on that. He did get it modified yesterday, which I thought was interesting, by a non-binary tattoo artist in rural Maine. I was looking at their very cool Instagram account, by the way. But it was nice he did a little plug. But I wish I agree with the commenters that were saying like he probably could have moved quicker on this, but I also don't think that that is enough evidence to lead anybody to believe that he like aligns with those ideologies. You know what I mean? And I think that we're talking a lot about how we want unconventional candidates. We don't want these political dynasty candidates. We don't want a millionth Shaheen relative running for for we don't need any more Shaheens representing us. We don't need any more Sununus representing us on any party, right? Like I think all of us in the working class agree that we don't need this type of candidate running for us anymore. And I think part of that is going to have to be not lowering our standards in any way, because I do think that if there was, this would be a very different conversation if we had more evidence that he actually believed any of this ideology, because it would be a very different conversation. But knowing what we know and what we've seen, we have to get comfortable accepting candidates that don't look how we're accustomed to them looking. We're accustomed to strong candidates behaving in a certain way. I think like Zoran Memdani is a great example of somebody who his policies are amazing. He's fantastic, but he also does kind of have that like traditional politician thing going that makes him like palatable in a certain way. He knows how to deliver messaging with a bit of a political flair to it, and I think that uh, he's a little bit easier for people to wrap their heads around. But somebody like a Graham Plattner, or even, we were talking, we were sending some videos back and forth earlier. Some folks in NHTok in the community were talking about this. John Kuiper and I think Christy for the People were talking about how working class candidates are just going to look different, right? Like working class candidates are not going to have the same grooming that somebody like Stephanie Shaheen has had her entire life, where that girl has gone to the best schools. She has had every resource available to make sure she is the most well spoken person. She has every consultant available to scrub her from the internet. Anything unfavorable, like they will get that shit off the internet. They will get news removed from the internet. There is so much work that is being done to make these power candidates look good. And we don't have access to that as working class people. So, working class candidates are always going to have things about them that don't look squeaky clean. And I think that we, as people on the left or working class people that are trying to push for these populist ideologies, that are trying to push for things like Medicare for all, education, we're trying to push for these basic needs for our community. I think we're going to have to get comfortable with the idea that, like, our politicians just aren't going to look, if we want that change, they're not going to look in the same way that we're used to them looking.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to be uncomfortable sometimes. Like it's going to be jarring sometimes for some people seeing again like just the different, but all of us that have lived in this world that they haven't lived in for so long, we are with these people every day. They're our neighbors, or the people that rally with us, or the people that laugh with us, cry with us, or the ones that mourn watching people being rounded up on the streets. And that's why, as one of them, I give them more grace. I allow them to explain themselves. And again, what you said about giving it time is so important for people to do, because it's not just getting all the right information, but if you notice the orchestrated like campaigns that are going around the internet, and again, I think it was Bridget, is Bridget Brem Murph in Twitch?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Bridget brought up Hassan too. Hassan Piker, I'm guessing, is who she was talking about as a connection, because Aloe said something about Graham Plattner should have known better as someone who's potentially being a senator. That's the only problem that he has with the Graham Plattner thing, is that he should have probably gotten it taken care of a little bit earlier, and I'm okay with that opinion. And then Bridget, she said same with Hassan, like he should know a little bit better, and I agree. I'm a big Hassan Piker fan. He hasn't said the cleanest things in his life, but he is, again, someone who is chronically online, and he is kind of he is the only pipeline we have, or any type of pipeline that competes against the right wing pipeline, right? The right wing boys pipeline. And I think he does have a lot of people coming to his chat. Some of them aren't the best. Again, if you believe in diagonal politics, me and Nicholas Fuentes both are in agreement. Me and a neo-Nazi are in agreement on something. We both don't like Israel. Now, he doesn't like it because he's anti-Semitic by nature. I don't like it because they're committing a genocide. This is called diagonal politics. Sometimes we fall into the same answer. And yeah, I just think when it comes to Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Holy shit! I was just like in a diatribe. This
No,
never
it's
happens to
fine.
me. My lord.
I'll
All right, there's so much to talk about here.
It happens to me all the time. It's fine. I'll just start talking and then it'll come
Yeah, no,
back to
start talking.
you.
No, 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 the Hassan Abi thing. Okay, so this is how I want to connect it here. Hassan Abi, right? Every week there is a new drama about him being orchestrated by the same fucking people every time it's coming from the same sources of people, and it's pro-Zionist, pro-Israel groups, again, right-wing internet faces that have been trying to get him kicked off the internet forever. People might know names like Asmongold, Destiny. If you're chronically online, these are right-wing, famous, grifting personalities that have from day one been trying to get this guy banned from the internet. And I've talked to you a little bit about how I truly believe Islamophobia is one of those. And again, I don't compare like Islamophobia to, like, racism against black people. These are not, there are people that have suffered a lot more. But I'm saying there is such an asymmetric thing occurring, especially when it comes to someone like Hassan, where you have white liberals that are just happy to hate him just for any reason. Oh my God, he zapped his fucking dog on stream. Like as if there are no dogs in Gaza. No dogs exist in Gaza. You know what I'm saying? Like they hate him so much, they become woke. That's how much hate. And I only connect it to the fact that he's Turkish. He's Turkish and his name is Hassan. I understand that because there are people on Twitter calling Zoran Mamdani Little Mohammed. Literally, elected officials in the federal government are calling Zoran Mamdani Little Mohammed. Charlie Kirk, oh, super cool Charlie Kirk when he was alive, said he was responsible for 9/11. That's the kind of bullshit. Again, you're talking about Zoran Mamdani. This is not a street vendor, which is the easiest target for these animals. But like, this is a guy who's currently one of the faces of the Democratic Party, and he's our version of Trump in the sense where he's bulletproof from BS. It just bounces off of him. He answers and they're still trying to say this guy's anti-Semitic. I mean, Cuomo, in an interview, I wish I had the clip ready. He has an interview in the debate. In the same sentence, he is literally saying Zoran Mamdani is too Muslim and that he isn't Muslim enough. There's a clip of him saying, well, you know what? He's too Muslim. He cares too much about jihad and all that stuff. He's a jihadist. And then in the same paragraph, he's like, he doesn't know the imams in these mosques like I do. Like when I was the mayor. It's like, brother, what are you saying right now? Like it is psychosis. It is a psychosis that's happening, and we're seeing it like show itself even in the depths of the Democratic mainstream. Again, go look at New York. Hakeem Jeffries hasn't endorsed him. None of Gillibrand hasn't endorsed him. Chuck Schumer. Gillibrand called him a jihadi on a radio show. She was one of the worst people. New York, again, this is a Maoist. God. Like she used to be a Maoist, Kristen Gillibrand, just like the dude Van Jones on CNN. That guy used to be a Maoist, or sorry, and Charlie, and sorry, not Charlie Booker,
Cory Booker.
Cory Booker. That guy used to be a literal, like they were Maoists coming into government. The other week, they were asking Booker, like, hey, Cory, like, do you take AIPAC money? And they twisted him into such a fucking pretzel. At the end of it, he was anti-Obama. Cory Booker was anti-Obama. Was like, he was whataboutisming Obama. He's like, why do you guys care so much about Israel? You didn't care when Obama was bombing U.S. citizens in Yemen. It's like, holy shit, this is a full circle moment. This is like everything. I felt so vindicated in that moment. Watching Cory Booker throw Barack Obama under the bus for AIPAC. That's what that was about.
And it just goes to show how far that like AIPAC rot is going in our elected officials as well, which like kind of brings us back to Graham Plattner as well, which is like why we're seeing so much pushback against. I mean, I think we're kind of drawing the comparison that it doesn't feel what's happening to Graham Plattner doesn't feel dissimilar to what's happening uh to Hassan Nabi and how he's constantly getting it's because these people are viewed as disruptive to the status quo is why they are a problem and uh they're being we're seeing the kind of attack on them. But I think one other thought that I had on the Graham Plattner stuff before we wrap up too was I just what happened over the last 24 hours was interesting just to watch through the lens of my own like TikTok comments and how much which I tend to stay out of oftentimes, but I do keep an eye on them sometimes. And there's a lot of stuff about there was very, very, very quick reaction when the Nazi tattoo stuff came out. And without much information, and very quickly people in the comments were, like, very upset that, like, I hadn't taken down the videos where I was supporting him, and they weren't upset that I hadn't sort of taken a certain amount of action right away, and I think that we have to remember that these attacks are gonna continue coming towards the progressive candidates and the working class candidates and the populist candidates because they are disrupting the status quo. And so as people on the left who are ultimately just I think most of us are just trying to like figure our way through this moment, act in the right do the best thing we can, make the right choices that we can. We have to be like super thoughtful and know that that's happening. And I don't say that to dismiss any real concerns that are brought up because there will be real concerns brought up that we want to hold people accountable. I am in no way saying we should not be holding our elected officials accountable just because or I'm not saying we should not be holding folks who are running to a high standard because we should be. But the amount of people on the left that were so quick to jump to judgment there and quickly villainize everybody that had been supporting him. I just very much felt like, okay, can everybody just like take a breath? Like, can we all just like take a second and allow people to demonstrate growth, allow people to demonstrate that they have learned, and allow time for information to come out, right? Because we're also like, this kind of goes back to where we started with the AI video. And like, we're saying we're living in this like post truth era. It's so hard to get truthful information, to know what's true, and not just what's true, but like what is politically motivated, what is financially motivated. Why is this information making its way across my feed? And so I think we need to think about all of these things in the context of all of this as we're making our decisions. And just try to go easy on each other. I think of like we're all uh, trying to evaluate the same information. We're all kind of getting the same information at the same time, and like moving the best we can. And so this is not going to be the first or the last time that this is going to come up, and I think we'll see this play out. I'm sure we'll see this play out in some form in our state as well, here in New Hampshire, as we have some really fantastic progressive candidates running against some big dynasty folks. We have a lot of people here that are running very challenging campaigns against people with a lot of money. And so I would be shocked if we don't start seeing similar types of campaigns being done against people uh, in many states. And so I think we have to hold people accountable, require accountability. I'm not saying we shouldn't require accountability, but we should just remember context as well as we're kind of moving through this very intense election, getting into this intense election season now.
Yeah, I think it's very important. And again, it's from people like us, and I don't expect everyone to have the same level of media literacy because again, I have been through it on the internet. So I have been tricked by my fair share of articles in my life, and I have gotten really seasoned at smelling bullshit. And I just think context is everything. Like when you think of an attack coming in, you have to think about the context. What other news is out there right now? What else is going on? Where could this be coming from? Why is it coming this way? And again, it's one of those things where we talk about the emotional nature of news. I could talk about October 7th all day, where they made up a lot of emotional lies about that day. The truth about that day was horrific. It was horrific, the truth about that day. There is no need to exaggerate, to lie, to add emotional triggers. The reason they did that is so they could gain the manufactured consent to go genocide a population, right? We are less likely to put up a fight if we hear that the people that we are currently attacking put babies in ovens or whatever lies that they were making up at the time. It's horrific, right? And these are by design. They're made so you will react right away. And then by the time the truth has come out and by the time someone has talked about it and actually given you their side of the story, it's too late. You've already made your decision. You've already moved on. You've already called that person a liar in your brain. So how could they ever explain, right? And
Mhm.
it's hard to imagine that we would ever be this quick to judge people in real life, people that we love, right? People that are family members of ours. We offer grace to humans, right? Generally. But when it comes to the internet, we have trigger fingers. And let me drop John Fetterman's name here. I think there is some
That's a no, this is
PTSD
a good point.
going on
I get
here.
that in my comments a lot right now about John Fetterman. Is it feels and I'll let you go on, but that's I think a lot of people are naming that as something that in their mind is very tied to what's happening with Grand Platinum right now. Go ahead.
For sure. And the main thing here is that John Fetterman became I was a huge uh going Fetterman is my word. Yeah, so Aloe feels the same way as me. That's the thing. We all thought Fetterman was the great white hope, right? I mean, there was like a chunk of us that really truly thought that because he was wearing sweatpants and he was wearing like he was like a real like working class dude. He was the lieutenant governor in Pennsylvania, a very working class state. He was crossing the aisle, and then he had a fucking stroke. And this is what people don't understand. He wasn't tricking us. His stroke changed him. And there is a lot of research that has been done on dementia and people who have had strokes and people who have are schizophrenia and people that basically have like mental, have mental disabilities as they go on through life. There is a correlation between that and becoming more conservative. There is. They have found in research for some reason that's the case, and I think a level of that happened with John Fetterman. The guy is a shell of who he used to be. Seriously. I mean, I feel for the guy sometimes the way I feel for Mitch McConnell, the way they weekend at Bernie's that guy fucking around Congress all day. You know what I'm saying? Like he looks like he's gonna he looks like he's dead already. I mean, Mitch McConnell half the time. Seriously, like this is like elder abuse what they do to that guy. And I feel like again, Fetterman is a PTSD point for a lot of people. They do not want to be tricked by the working class white guy who was tough. Again, Fetterman was tough. He talked tough. He was a big dude. He had the stature, he had the look, he had the whole shebang. And I think he let so many people down. And again, I'm one of those people that don't blame him because that's just this is my feeling that like John Fetterman didn't put on he wasn't, no disrespect to John Fetterman, he wasn't intelligent enough before his stroke to put on an act like he's some like leftist dude. Like it's hard to do. Grifting to be a good person is not easy. When you're a bad person, grifting to be a bad person can be pretty easy, but grifting to be a good person is not easy at all. It's hard. You have to care to be a good person, like that's the irony of this whole thing. So I think I understand that part of it. And I want to give a little bit
Yeah.
of grace to those people too that I get it and that time will tell. I don't think I'm saying again, that's what we're saying, right? We're not saying make the assumption now that he's a good guy. We're just saying don't
Right.
be so quick to assume he's a bad guy. Like that's
Mhm.
where we are. You're preaching certainty, we're preaching doubt. That's it. That's the whole shebang here, right?
Yeah, Pat's in the comments as well talking about how comparing this to Kristen Sinema as well. Kristen, whatever, Kristen Sinema. And that is a very good comparison too, because I think that was a real, that's kind of more of that real raw manipulation you're talking about, manipulation of voters. But when we look back again at like what we know about Graham Plattner so far, is we have all of this sort of documentation of his political views over the course of his life. And so um that that stuff that it, again, it's not like airtight, but it's enough information for me to, as a just individual, to be like, yeah, that seems like he probably has always had leftist views. There's that sign of him hold that picture of him in his yearbook holding like a free the Congo sign, like he's been paying attention to this stuff. He's been on this side. My understanding is he's been involved in the DSA in Maine for years. Like we have like mutuals on TikTok that are personal friends of his and have attested to the fact that they've all been involved in leftist politics forever. So that gives me, I'm not as personally worried about that just based off what we've seen, but I do understand why people have that energy. But my hope is like, we're going to see more candidates like this. And so there won't be such a strong correlation. Like, as we're seeing more and more of these races pop up across the country, we won't be seeing working class candidates and associating them with Fetterman anymore, because we're going to have much better examples to look towards. Um, yeah. And
Graham
he's hot.
Plattner,
And he's hot. I know.
he's
You
pretty hot.
guys,
He's
he's
pretty
so hot.
hot.
He's so hot.
Like
I'm
I listen,
sorry.
I'm straight, man, and I know when a guy is hot, and this is this. It's not just that he's like conventionally attractive; it's that he emits what people want masculinity to be right now. That's what he does. I
Sorry.
volunteer
I'm
to check for
dying
more
at
Nazi tattoos. Bridget volunteers to be tribute. Of course.
Oh my god.
Oh, I'm gonna use my editing
Oh,
skills on that, Bridget. We're gonna send Graham
oh,
Plattner a little something, something.
funny.
No, I think it's important. Like, let's make politicians hot again.
Yeah,
It
no,
doesn't hurt, right? Like, let's bring us back some JFK eye candy.
I think
We got to listen to you talk.
he emits this. We talk about masculinity and patriarchy, right? And I feel like he emits what we want masculinity to be, what we are yearning for it to be, right? Which is a tough guy, oyster farmer, former military guy, but he's not punching down at people. He's 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 Nazis aren't Medicaid for all. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a there's shit. I dropped my phone. I got so upset. I got so I got so into it. They're not Medicaid. They
Yeah.
aren't, and I said this before, they're not shy about being Nazis. Like they like it. That's the whole point about being a Nazi. It's like you're proud of it. You don't shy away from it. It's actually the antithesis of being a Nazi is like hiding your swastika tattoo or something, right? So I think
Yeah.
like these, so the hotness level aside, which I, as a man, I mean, he is exuding a little
Yeah.
something that we want. I just think that there is an authenticity about him. There is truly an
Mhm.
authenticity about him that cuts through everything. Even the little bit of political stuff that he puts in there, we're like impressed by it when he does it. It's not like normal. It's not like when a normal politician says it. We're just like, ah, fucking normal. But when Graham Plattner says it, we're like, whoa, that's quite the idea, Graham. Like, say it louder. Like deeper voice.
I figure um I think your point about his sort of masculinity too, people in the chat are talking about that as well, and how like there is something that's so appealing. And I think that's a big part of why he took off so quickly. And why he picked up so much traction within the first weekend. Like I remember vividly that first campaign video that came out, and it was like, holy shit. Like, this is somebody that's like, I was 10 seconds into the video, and I was up in Maine at the time. We're sort of in Maine a little bit part time, up in Western Maine. And I was up there with my family, and I was like, "Did you guys see this?" Like, because my immediate reaction is like, "Oh, this is the guy that can talk to the men that live up here." Right? Like the men that live up here that are like very different from like where this is urban down here, right? Like where we are in New Hampshire, this is the city. When we're talking
Definitely.
about some of these voters up in like northern western Maine, And it's that type of masculinity that can speak to those folks. And that's part of the reason that I got so inspired by his campaign was I was like, he can help us bridge that gap. You know, when we talk about we need more role models of like positive forms of masculinity and people who are unafraid to show masculinity in a way that is compassionate and is empathetic and is concerned about the greater good of their community. And I think that he does that in a really powerful way. And so when people talk about how hot he is, I think that's also part of it is he's hot in the inside, in the soul.
In the soul way, absolutely. It accentuates, and I think I'm gonna be honest. I touched on this before, but anyone that we are looking to run, that includes like people like me and you, for example, because I am considering a run at some point. I think it's something that fits the bill for me. If you go look into my Reddit history, you're probably gonna find some questionable shit in there. Now, do I have Nazi tattoos? No, 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 absolutely not.
I'm
Promise
gonna
you, I
go
don't.
search for Spliff Wagon and Spliff
You'll never find
Master or
me. You'll
whatever.
never find me.
It's okay,
Seriously,
mine's embarrassing too.
like there are leftist views that are now just coming into people's consciousness that leftists have had for a long time,
Mm.
they weren't always popular. And there are, again, being in the communities that I was in, being a gamer, and again being someone who was kind of like a progressive gamer most of my life. I was never falling into like the right wing stuff, but the shit I saw in those forums, the shit I saw in chats and stuff, you will find my username mixed within those people. And I'm sure there will be Oppo research built on that stuff to make it seem really ridiculous. But I live in America, like, is there a more radicalizing experience than living in America? I mean, the richest country in the world who like has bread lines and like has corporate welfare everywhere, but hates it when it goes to like feeding children. It is a surreal world we live in, and honestly, I don't think I'd fucking trust you if you didn't have some unhinged moments in your life where you were questioning things. Where you didn't get
Mhm.
drunk and walked into a fucking tattoo parlor and get a random tattoo that you regretted. This is the part of the American
Yeah,
experience. And we seriously, like, with the guy in the White House right now, it's so surreal to me that, like, it's not like this guy has a leg wrap of Nazi symbology. It's not like he has a Mein Kampf in his fucking bedroom. He's got like one little thing that was. I'm not minimizing it
yeah.
either. It's like,
No, but I wanna clarify just for someone in the chat too, is they're asking is, he did say just, what we've seen is that when he got the tattoo, picked a random skull and crossbones off the wall at the tattoo parlor, did not know what it stood for. It's unclear when he found out. I think it's been still, like, unclear exactly when he sort of found out how that people were associating it with this kind of Nazi ideology. But yes, he apologized and he also got it covered. He did get it covered yesterday. So, which is like, I mean, not the best, but like again, I'm not running the guy's PR. I'm just kind
right.
of commenting on if I think he should be a senator over Susan Collins and over Janet Mills. And ultimately, like that's the other piece of it is like we are in this situation right now where let's talk about the state of Maine voters are in the situation where they will have to decide between Graham Plattner and Janet Mills and then ultimately, Susan Collins. But we're far enough along in the process now that like those are probably your options. And so I think we have to I don't want to minimize it as pure as being like, oh, it's purity tests, but I do think we have to pay attention because I think sometimes we see things like we'll see a comment on somebody's post and be like, oh, what, I saw he had a Nazi tattoo. What's it? But we won't like do any more digging into it. And so we'll just say, okay, well, that's too far. But really like we owe it. I think we do owe it to progressive candidates, especially in the state that we live where we're voting, and if we have a responsibility as a voter, we owe it to these candidates to like allow them to grow, give them a little bit of grace to kind of work their way through it. And again, my tone would be very different right now, to be really clear. If there was any evidence that he believed this ideology, my tone would be very, very different. I don't want any of this taken out of context as me like justifying support for the Nazi party in any way, because that's absolutely the fuck not what I'm saying. But I think that we just have to prepare ourselves that we're going to continue to see this stuff happen. And
Yeah,
yeah, we have to start, someone, Katie in the comments, saying we have to start accepting imperfect candidates who are honest and will deliver for the people. And yeah, I think that's another
perfect.
thing, is like, I appreciate a good fucking apology, right? Like, I appreciate when especially a man can say like, yeah, that was and this is literally his apologies that I've seen, where now I've seen probably 5 different apologies for various things that have come out over the last few weeks. Every single one has been, I do not stand by anything I said. That was incredibly dumb, and you can see it on his face. He's like, that was stupid. That was stupid. And so there, it seems to me, to everything that I can see with my evaluation and my brain and what I am seeing in front of me, seems like a person who has grown. And again, it's like, we'll reevaluate if more information comes, but that's kind of where I'm at today with it.
I think it's reasonable, and yeah, I mean, you're human. You adjust your view with new information, and that's how what we all are supposed to do. I don't think it's an abnormal take at all. And again, it's there's this thing about preaching certainty and preaching doubt. I always used to use it in like a religious arguments, because I'm an atheist, and people would come at me, and whenever I got into like shit posting contests with people, I'd be like, you're preaching certainty, I'm preaching doubt. That's the only difference. I don't know the answer. Like these are, and that's how I generally feel about these. I don't know. Like I'm not a soothsayer. I can't read his mind. Can you? Like do you have
Mm-mm.
more information than what I have? Probably not. And again, I am a people person. I think there's only so long that you can put on a face to be a nice guy. For so long, you can grift being a leftist and a good dude, but it's going to come out. And if this is the trickle of it coming out, then it should continue coming out, or it'll stop coming out. And I think we're going to find out really quick what the deal is. And again, I have pattern recognition because I know not everyone has been following Gaza and what's going on there as deeply as I have, just because it's like part of like what I grew up studying and stuff. But I see patterns in the same propaganda machines that are happening between Israel and Palestine, that I see with Hassan Piker, that I see with Graham Plattner, that I see with Kat Abu Ghazala, that I'm seeing with all the Minnesota candidates, because fuck, that's where all the Muslims are in America, right? So forget about that. Israel is pouring all their money into Minnesota to beat like Omar Fateh. And I can't remember the guy who's running for senator who's going to try to primary Elisa Slotkin, which is going to be a huge race too. Elisa Slotkin has been kind of tabbed to become
Mhm.
the next kind of one of the faces of the Democratic Party. She's a former CIA agent. She is in the opposite fucking direction of where we want to go. She's just like kind of a harsher Hillary Clinton, if I'm being honest. And I don't want to put any hate towards Hillary Clinton. I don't know if she was the right candidate at the time. I feel like probably her.
We don't
I
have
don't.
time to get into
Yeah, I'm not
Hillary
gonna get in
Clinton
trouble with that.
today,
I'm just saying
Aria.
she Elisa Slotkin. Okay, if you are trying to learn your lesson from elections, Elisa Slotkin is not it. That's all I'm gonna say on that. So if
Mhm.
you want to go do your own research on her, she's part of the Democratic establishment, and I think once you get used to some of this propaganda, once you get some used to some of this orchestrated, you start asking more questions, and some of these things turn out to be true. I'm not saying it's all fake, but that's what we have to do, is we have to get to the bottom of it. You cannot like trust the people you trust, but people that are just spreading this stuff, like they're setting and forgetting. Again, that comment, that one rogue comment you see on someone's comment section might do more to someone's psyche than any 100 videos does, right? So as long as you're
Mhm.
constantly aware when you're going up over this stuff, and I think that's all we can do. And again, I also take my time before reacting to stuff. Once in a while, I'll react early because I feel very strongly about it. But I think that's the smartest thing to do, because you don't want people to turn around and be like, you were fucking lying about that too, or you were making stuff up." So
Okay, I wanna talk about 2 things really quick. I wanna come to the comments in a second, but in terms of, like, the quick reaction, I just wanted to make a point on that, which is, uh, so often on TikTok or on these social media apps, you get the most views if you're the first one to post a hot take, especially if it's a controversial take, right? And so please, I like beg of everyone to keep that in mind, because creators are incentivized to get content out quickly that is inflammatory. That is how you make money, right? I made more money when I was spending my time commenting on talking about what's happening at a national level. Okay, I made money on TikTok. I think I made $28 last month talking about New Hampshire politics, but it's like it's a different type of thing, and so I think we need to be conscious of what we're consuming too, because you have to be aware that like a lot of times those first hot takes are people, especially coming from big influencer accounts, are trying to just make money off your outrage. So like if I had wanted to make several $100s the day that the Platinum tattoo stuff came out, I would have posted a video that's, "Oh my gosh, did you guys just see the news? Graham Platinum might be a Nazi. What do you guys all think about it?" That I could have made a lot of money with that video, but I don't think that that's putting anything positive into the conversation. I don't
It's
think
a
that's
great point.
helping the world at all. And so like I think that we need to be like, as consumers of that information, we need to be mindful about people's motivations. That's one thing. And then I also just wanted to talk about some folks in the comment. Katie and I think Pat were talking about our front. Pat says, I don't think my frontal lobe attached until last week, which is so real about how millennials specifically, like, we had to we grew up with social media in a different way than anybody else has, right? And obviously Gen Z is growing up in a different way too, but like the way that we have come online alongside social media and have been sharing content in this way, there has not been a playbook. We have had massive a lot of us have had massive ideological shifts over the time that we've been posting on social media. And so these are going to be new questions that we have to answer, that we don't have to answer when we're dealing with geriatric candidates, because they don't post all their opinions online, right? So we are going to have to figure out as an electorate, like, what do we do with this, because it's different. And it's not something that we've ever kind of had to deal with at scale before. uh and yeah, I mean, as my frontal lobe did not absolutely did not come online until like 2020, and even then it's been a slow descent into madness over the last few years. But we all have and not just stuff that's like bad, but just not flattering. I think I think I alluded to this earlier. John Kuiper did a good video about talking about this yesterday, I think, where he was talking about just how working class candidates don't have the same kind of polish that we're used to. And I think that we're going to have to kind of all learn to adjust to that. What does it
Yeah.
look like with a millennial, with millennials taking over all these offices?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into a big thing. I know we're probably wrapping up soon, but I just my big thing is like, if we are expecting the same, if we are expecting different, then we need to start acting like, like if we're expecting like people
Mhm.
who aren't coming from the same well, then we need to start behaving that way. And again, I think there's a thin line between purity testing and, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And we just have to be more aware of that now. I mean, we aren't like Republicans. We're not trying to, 34 felonies and touching women without their consent. That's not what we're trying to do. But we are trying to allow enough grace to let
That's just a
people.
funny one to clip. Sometimes I think about how somebody's gonna like clip this shit out of context, and it's gonna when you run for office, somebody's gonna be like, "Look, we're not trying to touch women without their consent, okay? Not today. That's
Hey,
not what I'm about." Aria for New Hampshire.
yeah, hey, low, it's a low bar these days. You know what I'm saying? You never know. I might win a primary or two based off that. But no, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, it's just we need to start toughening up a little bit, because it's gonna get hard. And the attacks are gonna get worse as time goes on, and the attacks aren't gonna even be coming from who your typical enemies are. It's gonna be coming from within your party. Truly, those are where the
Mhm.
biggest attacks are going to come from. They're going to come from Democrats against our own candidates. A lifetime of telling us, "Oh, run your own candidates, run your own candidates. You never do anything," and then they block us at every point of the way. So, I think we need to be real about that. That the establishment might be the bigger barrier to us doing change, making change, than our actual ideological enemies, because we have such a contrast to them. There's not much of a contrast between. I mean, that's the sad thing, right? That's why when you look at the elections recently, it feels like we're bleeding voters, because we are moving to the right as a party, and we're losing voters along the way, and then we're wondering why we're not winning. And it's because you have less and less contrast between you and conservatives because there seems to be less and
Yeah.
less functional difference. And again, I don't want people to come at me and be like, yeah, there is a difference. One side is fascist, one side isn't. Okay, I get that, right? But why are we behaving more
They're both
like the
kind of
side that
fascist.
isn't the same? You know, why are we trying to sell ourselves to
Yeah.
them? Because they have their own candidates already, you know? So that's my whole thing is that it's just counterintuitive to want something different and then continue running the same people, run people that are more like the people that are you are saying are scary, right? Like there are people that
Mhm.
come into my comment sections, like when the whole liberal influencer thing happened, where they're like, "Well, there's dark money going to Republicans. Dark money should go to liberals too." It's like, well, you're losing though. You know, this isn't the same. They're winning.
Mhm.
You're losing. You know, these are. I just yeah, we could talk about this forever, but I do think there's a level of like leftists and liberals. It's time to we need to toughen up a little bit. Like this can't be enough for us to chuck Plattner. Like his all his views and the policies that he's bringing are worth the chance that we might be wrong. The chance. And there's plenty of time left to figure that out.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. I'm curious to see I just as we're talking about this, I'm like, there's no way we're gonna get through this election season in New Hampshire without this playing out in some kind of similar way here in New Hampshire, because we do have some very strong progressive candidates that are coming out with very anti-establishment messaging. And I think we have to kind of prepare ourselves for that reality and kind of be ready to use all of our critical thinking skills when those moments happen. There's I was gonna say, Joe says Chris Pappas type has probably lived his whole life in a need to be perceived well kind of way. And it's so true. It's like we are used to having candidates that have been grown and raised to be elected officials, right? We have these people that are like not helping us. I think Bridget said in the comments, one side is more fascist, right? Like
Yeah.
there the we can that's a whole conversation for another day, that like don't want to get into too much right now, but like it's there are so many similarities between how the Republican Party operates and how the Democratic Party operates. And I think we're challenging that a lot. We're seeing cultural shift challenging that, right? We're seeing candidates challenging that. We're seeing the population demand it. So it's making for interesting times. I think that there's that sort of instinct of like infighting even amongst like leftist circles happening. And I think like everybody just kind of moving with their eyes open in a calm manner. Like everybody just like get in an single file line, stay calm, evacuate the building, whatever. Like just keep it calm. Like I don't know, let's try to kind of get through this together the best we can.
Completely
The
agree.
Pat says, "I can't wait for the milk toast controversy from Nepo Sununu."
Yeah,
It's I
yeah.
mean, well, that's the thing, right? I kinda wanna talk about this in a whole other live, is do a whole conversation about just the family trees of the New Hampshire party, the New Hampshire Democratic and Republican parties, because we have the Sununus on one side, but we also have the Shaheens and the Pappas involved. Like, they're all connected the way they're all moving together. We have so many family dynasties in New Hampshire. I have been going down rabbit holes that like I need to like take out a red string and start mapping out all the shit that I'm realizing is connected in the state of New Hampshire. And so seriously, like Kayla, like if somebody wants to make a flow chart, that would be great, because I actually did I have been putting together like trying to get stuff visually for folks to help folks understand, because we have
That
a
might be a good
whole
stream. That might be a good stream,
I
like
know,
just a flowchart stream, you know, like
deep
New Hampshire
dive.
politics.
Yeah, because it's like the way that it's like everybody is related to a lawyer and a governor and like everybody is related, everybody is married, everybody owns a family business that benefits from their government involvement, whether it's chicken tenders and what is it called? Puritan, or whether it is Shaheen and Gordon, that is the Democratic Party's dedicated representation. There is so much shit that I think has just happened over time that people have just become accustomed to. Um, do we need some arts and crafts time? Because that's so funny. Yeah, let's like we really I really yeah, I'll maybe that's what I'll work on this for next week, because um it's pretty fucked up, and I think as we're seeing Democrats start ramping up attacks on the Sununu family, it's like, "Bitch, you're the same," right? Like, we're the same. This is not we cannot the Democrats can no longer by the Democrats, I mean, like, the Democratic Party can no longer pretend to just be the good guy. Like, that is over. They are no longer able to just say, "Oh, we're better than that." No, you're exactly the same. The Sununu family is a political dynasty, and the Shaheen family is a political dynasty. Shaheen announced she was stepping down. Within days, Pappas announced that he would be running for her seat. And then within days after that, Shaheen's daughter announced that she would be running for Pappas's congressional seat. Like, this shit is planned, it is orchestrated, and I know I sound insane, but yes, I need the red string. I'm going to put it on paper and we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, we have these problems here. These are not right or left problems, but
For sure. For sure. And just
yeah.
the very last line I wanted to say, which you just touched on perfectly, is that whole debate of, are they the same? Are they different? And that affects different people differently. My whole thing is,
Mhm.
are you different? We want you to be more different. More different. Be more different. Okay, you're different. You think you're different? We
Mhm.
don't think so. Be more different. I don't think that's a bad thing to demand from our party. I don't think it makes us disruptive. I don't think it makes us wanting to lose. It's like, buddy, the problem is you don't have enough differences, right? Like, there is not enough differences between you guys. It is not clear enough to us that
Mhm.
things will be better under you than it would be for them. And that whole strategy of just, like you said, fascism's coming. Fascism's coming. You better vote for us. Trump is bad. It didn't work. It didn't
I
work.
voted for you and you didn't do anything.
Yeah,
Chris Pappas is voting. Chris Pappas, Shaheen, Maggie Hassan, Maggie Goodlander, they are all voting with the Republicans a lot. It is they are so the differences are fractional, guys. They are fractional. We are not being represented by anybody who has our best interest at heart. It's like it is absolutely fascist shaped.
for sure.
It
For
is
sure.
fascist shaped.
It's because ultimately they're all capitalists. And capitalism will turn to fascism before it turns to socialism. Everyone that knows about economic policy knows that. Capitalism has no interest at all to get involved with socialism, but we will go to the brown shirts far before anyone else. And I posit this again. This is something we'll have to talk about later, but I posit to people: doesn't it feel like to you that Democrats are complicit almost? I hate to say they're capitulating or they're just standing to the side, but a part of it feels like complicity. And why would they be complicit? Because one day Democrats are going to get back in power. Unless you think this is the end, which I don't. Democrats will come back into power. The pendulum will swing. And if you think capitalism issues will end with Democrats becoming president, it won't. Or taking the presidency, it won't. They will need the same ICE force to beat us down when we're starving. It's the same thing. They know that they are going to need the same domestic police force to knock some fear into people when they feel like getting together in crowds and talking about inflation or the fact that gas has gone up, you know, has doubled in the past month. And that's always been something I've said. This is not a new thing. You've been following me. I've always said that ICE is not an immigration force. You do not like cut SNAP and Medicaid, put that money into an immigration force. No, I have a beach house in Idaho to sell you. You know, like that is for us. That is for us. When the protests go from anti Israel and they go from anti Walmart and anti all the big anti Meta, anti Palantir, and then it hits to I'm fucking starving because 1 in 8 Americans need SNAP, right? The percentages on SNAP are insane. Something like 1% of less than 1% fraud on SNAP. 86% of people that are on SNAP have a child or an elderly adult or a disabled, someone who's disabled in the house. for every dollar that's spent, $1.50 is created in the American economy. This is a great program, and it's
Wow.
being cut to chattel us, to control us. Because what can't you do when you're hungry? You can't protest. You can't. There's everything becomes harder when you're hungry. So I
And
think these are
and
all
that's
connected.
and that's we're living in that reality right now, and yet when you ask people like Chris Pappas what they're doing about it, they say, "Well, we can only do so much. We're in the minority right now." And that's fucking bullshit to me. It's like, you get your fucking ass in the streets, dude. And like, anyway, that's a whole other, but yeah, I think oh, the last thing I was going to say about what you were the sort of fascist comparisons is like I think people forget as well that like we started seeing those campus crackdowns on Palestine protests under the Biden administration,
Absolutely.
supported by state governors, supported by Democratic governors, supported by Democratic mayors, supported by all of this military the ramping up of militarization of police being used on peaceful protesters that we've seen that happened before then. That happened, I mean, with the George Floyd protests, it happened with the Occupy protests, it happened all the way back. This is not new. This is not Trump. And so I think that's what I always push back on when folks are talking about how no, the Democrats aren't fascist too. It's like no, the Democrats have been using police violence against peaceful to quell dissent. Like
And Biden was
that
the
to
one that
me is like
spread the lies about Gaza. He was the one that said, "I saw photos of beheaded babies." He said it. He said it in front of
mhm,
the presidential seal. If you want to talk about history books looking back on this, and again, there are many different people deserve blame, but if you were to place the blame at the feet of someone, it's Joe Biden. Anyone who's telling you any
mhm.
differently is wants to say Trump or anyone in the Republican Party or leftist. No, Joe Biden. Trump didn't get up on. Trump lies about everything, and people are. And this is a question that was asked to me. I swear, the last thing I'm going to say. A question was asked to me. Why does it matter if Biden lied? Trump lies all the time. And the answer is it's because we fucking believed him. That's why it matters. Like, we believed him. We don't believe Trump when he says shit. But when Joe Biden
Mhm.
gets up in front of the presidential seal, looks us in the eye, and says, "I saw photos of dead babies, of beheaded babies," that lie probably caused more deaths than any other single lie or action in that war. Is that single-handedly, and the fact that it was never retracted gave you a taste of who they were. It was never retracted, it was never talked about again. And to this day, I believe it was Israel that torpedoed Joe Biden's campaign and Kamala Harris's campaign. If Joe Biden stood up and said, "Benjamin Netanyahu, you're going to fucking end this war right now." Reelected. Reelected. Easily. I mean, a corpse reelected. A corpse Biden reelected. They would have reelected him. But Netanyahu torpedoed his campaign with those lies. He fed him those lies. He gave him that information. Biden repeated it. And because of that, we have Donald Trump now. This is how it's all connected. People don't understand how these things, why is Israel connected? It's because, again, in an indirect way, Israel torpedoed the Democrats, and they waited until Trump became president before they had like real ceasefire negotiations. And even now, look, they got their hostages back and they're going to bombard the rest of Gaza. Just a complete sham, and it all started from the Democratic administration. At least October 7th, the outbreak from there started from the Biden
Mhm.
administration.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the lies matter just for the sake of them being we expect our politicians to be truthful to us, but also the impact of the Biden's lies were incredibly or whatever however you want to categorize them, mistruths, misinformation were the impact to your point were
Catastrophic.
incredibly devastating. yeah, and that will be his legacy, which is unfortunate because I do think that there's probably I think a lot of people in the Democratic Party have a softness for Biden and think they've seen him do good over the years. I think people have soft spot for him, but I think this just absolutely it torpedoes your legacy
He
and
would have been the
that's
greatest. He would have been the greatest one-term president ever. Like I seriously believe that
Mhm.
if he dealt with Gaza correctly, he would have gone down as the greatest one-term president ever because he stopped Trump. And that was the
Mhm.
answer would have been, that he was the true stopgap. And he said at the time he didn't want to run again, after that he just wanted to help us, and then he decided he wanted to run again, and then he torpedoed. Not only
Yeah.
did they torpedo his campaign, he torpedoed Kamala's campaign, and that's a big circle jerk. And all of a sudden Biden is a war criminal that I hate, that I think is one of the worst presidents to ever live, because he perpetrated something that we can't ever take back. It's something that is going to be stuck. It's our Holocaust now. We're never going to be able to, you know, it sucks.
Mhm. Well, on that,
Great note to end.
note,
I know.
I think
You're
we've
welcome.
been trying to wrap up for, like, 20 minutes, but that's so fine. It was good no, it's good talking. We've had good people in the comments chatting too, and
Absolutely.
I haven't wanted to wrap up, but I did wanna try to wrap up with, like, a CTA and, like, we're Aria and I are still, like, trying to figure out kind of format on this and, like, branding and all that kind of good stuff, and so you're all in it with us on the early days. But we're still trying to kind of figure out some of this, but we ultimately I don't want this to be something where we're just like putting negativity into the world either, right? And not in like a toxic positivity way, but like the goal of all of this is to try and educate, inform, and get people excited, get people motivated to take action in their own community and take action in what's happening around them. And so obviously I think a lot of us are talking a lot about SNAP right now and what's the SNAP outages that are really going to just be devastating for our community. So just a push that if you're somebody who's watching this midday because you are somebody like me and Aria who has some economic flexibility to do bullshit like this in the middle of the day, you have a work from home job, whatever the case may be, please make sure you are putting aside a chunk of money that goes to mutual aid. Make sure you're putting aside a chunk of money that goes to your local food pantry. Reach out to your local food pantry. I'm involved with the one in Durham, New Hampshire. There's one at St. Thomas More Church that I do a little bit of work with, and I reached out to them to find out if there's anything specific going on that I could help them with. And they're getting ready to do Thanksgiving baskets, right? So food, and then what they told me is that they're already seeing like a massive uptick and they're in people coming in. And so these food pantries are desperately going to need our help. And so I see people every day that are like, "Well, what do I even do? How do I get involved? What does that even mean?" Literally just email probably the nice old lady that runs the food pantry at the church in your town and just say, "Hey, do you need help?" Because that's all it is like anytime I go to the food pantry, it's these like 8 older ladies that have their whole thing, but they need help, right? They need help getting food, they need help getting boxes from wherever the donations are coming from. So anyway, this is my very long-winded call to action. Donate to mutual aid, find the local food pantry in your community, find out what they need and how you can support them because it is a low effort, high impact way. One of our friends from NHTok, Melody, has been posting a lot about mutual aid and how easy it is to get involved with mutual aid. Literally, a lot of times it's just show up and help them move stuff, right? Just people need hands. So show up, donate money if you can, and don't let just participating in the internet be your activism because this doesn't count. We got to get out there in the real world.
Absolutely. It's a great call to action. And I think you can kind of think outside the box a little bit here too. These, mutual aid, your food pantries, these places are great places. And even little things like, listen, Halloween is coming and kids are going to be coming to your door. I've heard stories of people setting up an extra section where they have food products there, where they are going to maybe leave a note
Mhm.
and say, if you are someone who is going to be affected by this, please, help yourself to the food here, because these are going to be kids coming by. They're not adults trick-or-treating, right? It's going to be kids and their parents. And if
Mhm.
they choose to take the food instead of the candy, so be it. That's great. That's something I plan on doing. I plan on also going to the food pantries and donating there. But on Halloween, it's something I'm going to be it's hard not to be cognizant of. You know, it's like coming into
Mm-hmm.
November, we're giving out candy to everyone. Why not? You know, if you can put out some other food products, maybe a little bit more nutritious. Um, you know, I've heard things like, you know, packs of macaroni and cheese. It's not the best thing in the world, but again, this might do a huge good for just like one family that's coming by or two families. It would be enough, I think, for that
Mm-hmm.
night. So there are things you can do, ways of doing things outside of the box that would help. Helping even one person, don't ever shy away from helping one person. It means the world to them, and that's all that should matter. It's not quantity, it's quality.
Absolutely. And then Bridget's in the comments saying there's Food Not Bombs, New Hampshire food drive in Manchester. That's this weekend, I think. Oh, it's Saturday. That would help. Yeah. So there's lots of great opportunities. If you are interested in engaging and are not part of the Discord community, join us on Discord. That link is in my TikTok link tree. And we've got a great community of folks in there from all over the state that are always sharing great ways to get involved and engaged. While I'm here, I've got another live show coming up at Auspicious Brew next Tuesday in Dover, New Hampshire. So, am I going to see you, Aria? You coming for this one? Gonna come help me move
Absolutely.
chairs
I,
again?
I, I can't miss that. You need a cameraman, right? Just kidding.
Hell yeah, always. Yeah, actually, if you want to live stream it again, if you're interested.
Yeah, I'll do it.
But yeah,
Hell
we're
yeah.
gonna do that next Tuesday. Not to put you on the spot while you're on live. This is how I'm gonna ask you to do favors all the time while people are watching. But yeah, so that's next week, and we're gonna try to do. I think the Dova. I think then the and Joe. Yay, Joe we'll see you there. I think. I have to stop looking at comments while I'm opening my mouth because I do not have the capacity to keep talking while reading comments. But no, I was gonna say next week we're gonna try to do this. I think tentatively we're looking at Monday, Wednesday, Friday, lunchtime ish. So like 11 to 1, 12 to 2 kind of deal. So we'll keep going live on TikTok. That way people get notified about it. But join us if you're over on Twitch as well, and you can subscribe to us there and get notified when we're live. But thanks for being with us and hanging out while we're kind of getting our feet under us with this new format. And this was fun. Thanks for pulling all the
Yeah.
videos together, Aria. I just
Oh
got
yeah.
to show up and
Yeah.
enjoy the vibe. It was great.
Sorry for blowing your eardrums out for like the first video or two,
No, it's
but you know,
fine.
we got there.
It's fine. It's fine. Sorry for the birth trauma, Bridget. You and I will unpack that later. We'll get into
I'm messed up
Maybe we'll do
forever.
another session that's just like what you need to know about the horrors of the human body.
I mean, we were
It
talking
is
about
it is
like Marissa
spooky.
bashes the patriarchy section, you know, so like it could be like a
Yeah.
good intro to that.
Just horrible shit men don't know, but now they're going to. All right. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Enjoy your Thursday.
Thanks for
See you
coming,
on the internet.
guys.
Be nice.
Bye.
Be nice.
Bye. TikTok. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Be good.